What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hike Over the Hill. I am Jedi, coming to you from AT Preparation Headquarters, also known as my basement, in the thriving metropolis of Rochester, New York. Today, we're talking cookware. I've already shot episodes about everything else to do with food, from food, assembling my meals, packaging my meals, vacuum sealing my meals. I can't talk this morning. I've talked about, I had another episode, those are different videos you'll have to go check out. I talked about cold soaking and food prep on the trail, so to speak, and packaging food on the trail. And I talked about stoves. I shot a long episode on stoves. I'll try to keep this one a little shorter, but I do like to, try to give you as much detail as I can, useful information. So, forgive me if the videos go a little longer than I would like, but I don't want to shortchange you. I want to kind of give you all my thoughts. So you can understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and some of the evolution that my thinking has gone through and why I've changed certain things about how I do things. So, and in case you don't know, it's cold down here. It's freezing outside right now. My basement's cold, so that's why I wear the hat and the fleece down here. Otherwise, I start getting chilly. Actually, my hands are already cold, so I'm going to get going here. So cookware. I'm going to talk about 4 different pieces of cookware, and I'm going to explain my evolution, why I bought them, what the advantages and disadvantages of each are. Before I do that, I'll just mention I did have another piece of cookware. In fact, my first cook pot before I started backpacking that I bought was the ever new pasta pot. I gave that away to a friend who also was getting into backpacking. So perfectly fine. My idea was, oh, this is great. Now, just so you know, the Evernew pasta pot. Evernew is a company in Japan, I believe, very well regarded, high quality stuff. In fact, I bought their. They also make water carries. So here's Evernew. This is a Evernew collapsible water bottle. This is a 1.5 liter. But they make titanium cookware, very highly regarded, high quality stuff from Japan. This Evernew pot, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's called the pasta pot. It had a little spout on it, a little bit of a spout, and the lid had a little black knob, and the lid had little holes perforated in it somehow, drilled in, whatever, punched out, so that you could use it like a strainer. So the idea is, and this sounded great before I started backpacking, hey, I can cook pasta in it. I boil my water, throw my ramen in or whatever, right? And have it cooking on the stove, and then the lid is on and the steam's coming out through the holes, and then when it's done cooking, you just kind of pick it up and you hold the lid on, and the water would strain out and the pasta stays inside. It's just like a colander, right? You strain it out through the lid, the holes in the lid, and then take off the lid and you eat your pasta. But then I learned about freezer bag cooking, and I changed my whole approach to how I eat on the trail. So I don't do that. I don't cook pasta on the stove, like you would at home. I do everything freeze-dried or dehydrated, and I just boil water and then throw it into whatever vessel I'm going to eat out of, whether it's the bag or my cold soaking jar, what have you. So I wound up giving that away to a friend because I just wasn't going to use it. Also, the lid was really tight. It was hard to get the lid off, and you don't want to have to struggle with your cookware when it's full of boiling water. That's not a good thing. So I gave that away to a friend. So the next thing I bought, I'll move these out of the way and I'll bring them back as I talk about each item in turn. The next item I bought was this monster, okay? This is the bag it came in. This is Toques. Those of you who have Toques, they're little orange bags they give you. They're kind of like this mesh material. It's a very nice bag, but it's ridiculously heavy for, ultralight people. So instead I got this crazy rubber band device thing from lightsmith.com. That's LITE smith.com. Again, as I've said before in other videos, I don't work for any manufacturers. I have no relationship or affiliation with any of them. I do not have affiliate links even at this point. So if I mention a brand, a product, a company, it's just because that's what I have. I'm not plugging them in any way. All right, so I'm not paid by anyone to endorse anything. Everything I have, I bought myself, or my wife bought, or we were given it as a gift for our birthday or Christmas, what have you. So this can replace this, right? Because it's lighter. It's a rubber band, and it just comes off. But it's like a 4-way rubber band. It's kind of a goofy thing, but it's kind of cool. I thought. Not really necessary. I've actually graduated now to DCF bags for my cookware. I'll talk about that in a minute. So this is the Toques. This, I believe, is a 1.6 liter pot. All right, it's got handles that swing way out, which is a ridiculous size. No sane solo backpacker would ever take this backpacking solo. But for my wife and I, it's great. Now, 1.6 liters, I believe that's around 54, 55 ounces. So, I mean, it's like 6.5, almost 7 cups, I believe, right? If I'm doing the math right in my head. That's a lot of water. So, even for 2 people, holy cow. But for us, it worked great because some of our meals required 2, sometimes even 2.5 cups of water to rehydrate. So with 2 people, that could be 5 cups of water we would need right there. Now, like I said, this holds a good 6.5 cups of water. You don't want to fill it right to the rim, of course, because when it starts boiling, you're going to have water all over the place, gushing over the sides. So you don't ever fill it up all the way when you're heating up your water. So maybe, let's say 6 cups reasonable. So if we needed 5 cups for our meals, that leaves enough room for another cup of water. So if my wife wants, coffee or tea with a meal, we're good to go. We got room for 6 cups of water with room to spare. So the lids on these toques, if you've never used a toques, the lid has this little triangle thing, a little triangle handle, and what you do is you lift it up, and then you slide it over about 1/4 of an inch, and then it stands up, if you can see that. See, it's standing up on its own now. That way it just keeps it from getting hot. So while your food's cooking, you can just grab that and lift off the lid, and you won't burn yourself because this doesn't retain a lot of heat, this little handle. And then when you're done and it's meal's over, you see how it slides back and forth. You slide it the other way, and then it just collapses down again flat. So it's kind of a cool design. And this also has 3 little holes perforated in. If you can see that, that's just to let the steam out, let the pressure out as the water's boiling. But this is not a tight seal. This just kind of rests on top of the pot. That's one of the complaints people have is, I'm going to take this stuff out of here, is that the lids sometimes don't sit very tightly, especially because titanium, they make these pots so thin that they eventually, once they're in your pack and things are pushing and pulling against it, they get a little bit distorted. So the lids never quite sit perfect again. You see, this one doesn't quite. See how it doesn't quite sit completely flat on there. But it's good enough. You're just boiling water. You just kind of set it on there the best you can, and you're good. And then you just take it off. These handles, as I said, they swing out. So these have never gotten hot in my experience. I can always pick up the pot like this. I've never had to use a pot holder or wrap a bandana around there to protect my hand. So big old pot. The thing I like about this is the bottom is so broad that pretty much any stove, you're getting the heat right in the center. A lot of these smaller pots, I'll show you this, like the smaller bottom, the diameter is so much smaller that sometimes the heat, it's hitting the edge of the pot and it's spreading up the sides. You're not getting any heat in the center oftentimes. So this is also huge enough you can store. This is an 8-ounce fuel canister. This monster can store in there, and I always use a little towel just to keep things from rattling around. This is a light load towel, if you aren't familiar with those. Light load. They come in, I don't know if I showed you this before. Yeah, here. They come in like a little, looks like a little pill. Okay, it's like a little disc. And it's all crammed in there, all tight. And what you do is you take it out. I should do a video of this. It's kind of cool. You take it out. This would be fun for your kids if you have kids. Take it out. You put it in a glass of water or some kind of container of water, and it slowly expands and kind of blooms like a flower. And then you take it out, wring it out, and you've got a towel. These are made of viscose, I believe. These last a long time. I'm still using the same towels I was using 3 years ago. So if you're good with your gear, if you're not crazy with it, this will last you for years. So I take one of these light loads, and I put my fuel canister in. Sometimes I don't take that cap with me. It's just a waste. Oftentimes it gets lost, and then it's just trash on the trail or trash at a camp that somebody finds. But I usually put them in upside down because you have this convex surface now because the bottom is recessed, like any pressurized can is. Like your hairsprays and your shaving creams. That's what one of the things that creates the pressure. Fold it up. I could fit this is the Pocket Rocket, Msr Pocket Rocket 2 stove. I could fit my Covia Spider stove in here. There's enough of a gap around the edge. Here, I should take out the towel so you can see better. Even with look at all that room I still have around the edge. Okay, I can stuff all kinds of stuff in there. That Covia Spider stove. If you look at my stove episode, that'll fit in there. Obviously, you can fit lighter. You can fit your You might even be able to fit a small spoon if you're one of those people that carries like the little plastic spoons. That'll all fit in there, the lid, and back in the bag. So I don't use that anymore for solo. I don't use it ever for solo. It's just for my wife and I. So the next thing I thought, and I talked a little bit about this, I'm going to talk more about this, is the Vargo titanium bot. This is a 700 milliliter. I think they make a 900 milliliter now. My idea was, I talked about this a little bit on my episode on food prep and cold soaking. The idea was, holy cow, this is awesome. This is a 2-in-1. This is a cold soaking vessel, because this is a screw-on lid, and it's also a cook pot. So I can combine 2 items into one. My thought was, wow, this is going to be great. I'll put my food in there for the day from the evening meal, and I'll put some water in. I'll cold soak it during the day while I'm hiking, with the lid screwed on, obviously. And then get to camp, throw a little bit more water in, heat it up over the stove, and stir it so it doesn't scorch on the bottom. And then I've got a hot meal. I'm using less fuel because the food is already mostly rehydrated. I'm just giving a little shot of heat for a couple minutes to heat up the meal before I eat it. And I've only got one vessel to do it all in. And I tried that on my Finger Lakes Trail hike that went through Letchworth Park. I'm going to give you a drink here. And I've been talking. This is like the 3rd video I've shot in a row, so I'm getting thirsty. So I tried this on the Finger Lakes Trail through Letchworth Park, and it didn't work as well as I'd hoped, for several reasons. And people at Vargo will probably hate me for saying some of what I'm about to say. It's a brilliant idea. Why didn't anybody come up with this before? I don't know. However, in my opinion, this is an over-engineered piece of gear. First of all, it's crazy expensive. It's $100 for this thing. You can buy 3 Tokes pots of the same size for that price, or at least 2, and oftentimes 3 on sale. You're spending $40 for a Tokes of the same size. I understand it's more complicated. It requires more production effort and machining and whatnot. But here's the problem with this bot, in my opinion. First of all, okay, we're gonna screw on this lid, right? Listen to that. Ooh, it's a little bit of a disconcerting sound. So we got it screwed on. Great. Look at what we got here. First of all, we got very little surface area to grab onto to unscrew it. Okay. Even just doing it now, it took me a little bit of effort to unscrew that, and it's slippery. It's titanium. It's polished titanium. So that's one problem, is getting it on and off. And I've heard stories in the field, people cold soak, they got their lid on, you got to have it on snug so that it doesn't leak. And then you're hiking up and down mountains, right? Your elevation's changing. So let's say you're on top of you're at 4,000 feet elevation, let's say. And then you hike down, and your next camp the next night is down in a valley at only 1,000 feet elevation. So that's a change in 3,000 feet elevation. So the air pressure has changed. Now you've got added air pressure on this. This can be hard to take the lid off with that extra pressure. And the opposite's true. If you start in the valley and then you hike up, now you've got pressure inside here that's pushing to get out, and that's creating tension and friction on that lid. So the lid gets very hard to take off with these pressure changes. And they say, oh, well, you slip a credit card or a small, thin item into this little gap here against that seal. There's a silicone, see that silicone ring right here? You can see that kind of a milky, translucent silicone ring. That's the gasket that keeps the liquids inside. So you have that issue. Tough getting it on and off, and sometimes. But here's my big problem with this. This would be brilliant, except it has one fatal flaw, in my opinion. And I've written to Vargo to ask them about this. Look. What just happened? I put the lid inside the pot. The threads are inside the pot. Okay. That's interesting. There must be a reason they did that, right? And here's the other thing they say. Okay, yeah, you can take it and you can put this on. That becomes the lid, and then you can actually use this as a drink container. I don't know who's going to walk around drinking out of this thing. I don't know. But you could poach an egg in there or something. I don't know what you would do in there. Heat something else up, I guess you could put on there to keep it warm. I don't know. Seems silly. But why in the world would you design a lid that screws on from the inside? Like every other lid in the world screws on the outside. pretty much, right? You know, you look at any kind of bottle, I don't know, I got bottles here, you know, they screw on the outside. They go around, here's the neck, and it goes around those threads. It doesn't go inside those threads, so it covers the threads. So what happens, so why is that a problem? What happens is, look, this is 700 milliliters, okay? Which is about, if I do the math correct in my head very quickly, about 22 ounces, I want to say. 21, 22, 22 point something. Okay, that's fine. It's probably enough for a rehydrated meal. Not a full double pack like one of the Mountain House. It's 2 servings. You're not going to get that in here and rehydrated and everything. I don't think that's going to work. But look, those threads go inside the pot, inside where your food is. So the problem I had was out on the trail, this gets all the food particles in there, and the food particles get mashed in there with the threads. So, you know, that just makes it that much harder to get on and off. You got gunk in there. You got to clean all this every time you use it, all around here. You got food all around here, right? Your gaskets getting food particles on it. Also, this is taking up some of the volume, so you can't fill this up like past the threads, because then you'll be dunking this right into the liquid, and it could, you know, come over the edges if if it's too full. So you can't really use the full 700 milliliters on this thing. You could probably use 600 to 650 milliliters, I'm guessing. So maybe you're going to get 18 ounces roughly in there. I asked them, I said, why did you design this so that the lid screws on with the threads on the inside instead of on the outside like everything else? And they gave me some song and dance about, well, you know, it helps with the structural rigidity of the pot because the metal is so thin and blah, 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 blah. Look, so now you don't just have to clean this. Normally, if it went on the outside, you would just have to clean, you know, this part. You wouldn't have to clean. All this has to be cleaned. All of this has to be cleaned. And you're not going to be able to see this, I don't think, but this is a rolled edge, okay? You can see how that rolls under. And then there's a gap under there. Stuff is going to get trapped under, let's see if I can't really show you. Underneath this rim, it kind of rolls over, but not all the way. So there's a gap under here. There's like a little channel that runs all the way underneath that. I'm telling you, you're going to have a hell of a time cleaning that in the field, and it's going to accumulate food particles, and it's going to be a breeding ground for bacteria and mold and mildew and God knows what else. You're going to have to take a toothbrush when you get to town and try to clean that out as good as you can. It just seems like a headache. So I was very disappointed, and I decided this is not going on the Appalachian Trail with me. So bye-bye. That's going away. Let's talk about what I am going to take on the Appalachian Trail. I have 2 other options here. I'm going to move along as quickly as I can. This is the Toke 650. And I'm going to actually open this at the same time as I open up the 750. And I'll talk about why I have both DCF bag. This is from Light AF, another company, LITE. I don't know if you can see that. The light's reflecting on it. LITE, there it is. LITEAF.com. I don't work for them, as I said. I don't work for any of these companies. I just buy their crap because I have a hobby now, apparently, collecting camping gear. That's what I do. What do you do? I collect camping gear. Okay. So I'll take these both out at the same time, and I'll talk about them and the differences and advantages and disadvantages to both. This is an insulated bag from yet a different company, cottage company, called, I think it's called treadlightgear.co.uk. That's their little symbol, a little footprint. It says light, L-I-T-E. All these companies like to use L-I-T-E for light for whatever reason. Probably easier to trademark it or something. This is an insulated DCF bag. I've talked about this a little bit in my cold soaking episode, but this is great because I can put a pot in. You know, that let's say I got my meal or I got my water hot. I'm not quite ready to eat. I can put my thing in there and keep this hot. It's a little cozy. Okay. I'm probably going to use this for the first part of my hike, and then once the weather gets warm, I'm going to swap out for just a plain DCF bag. This is a DCF bag for the 750, this is the one for the 650. So same idea. This is also from treadlightgear.co.uk. I think that's their website, but you can just Google Treadlight Gear with light, L-I-T-E, tread light gear in the UK. And actually, there was free shipping to the U.S., which amazed me. I think I had to spend 30 pounds, which is I don't even know what the exchange rate is, probably 50 bucks, 50 something bucks, not even 40 something bucks probably. All right, so 650 toques and the 750 toques. So my original plan was to take the 650 toques, and because that's big enough to fit a 4-ounce fuel canister, as I have here, right in there like that. And I thought, we'll put my stove in there too. But I forgot. This is the Msr Pocket Rocket 2. That will fit in there, right? That'll fit in there if I store it the right way. I think you have to probably lay it the right way, and then the lid will go on pretty close, pretty good. I can get it in the bag and seal it all up. But I forgot that I had asked for the Msr Pocket Rocket Deluxe, which is much bigger, as you can see. The burn head, holy cow, look at the difference in sizes there. Yep, you guessed it. That lid ain't closing. So I was like, son of a gun. I didn't take that into consideration. So I went out to REI and I bought the 750 toques, which this will fit inside. Okay, I can get that in there, right? Just barely gets in there, and I can get the lid on and put it in my bag, and I'm good to go. My wife gave me the 650 for Christmas, and I felt terrible that I botched that calculation. So, if you don't want to store everything together, you're okay with keeping your stove separate, the 650 is fine for that purpose. This is actually their ultralight line. So this is lighter and thinner titanium than this. So ounce for ounce, I guess, pound for pound, whatever you want to call it, gram for gram. This is actually lighter material than this. And you can feel it. You can feel this is a thinner walled titanium. This is, I should weigh this stuff while we're yakking about it. So this is a 650 light toques, which is exactly 2 ounces, 58 grams. So that is 2 ounces on the nose on my scale for the 650. Now we go to the 750. You think, it's going to be, two and a half ounces, right? No. It's thicker titanium, not only bigger. So this is 2 7/8 ounces, so close to 3 ounces, 83 grams. So 83 grams for that one versus 58 grams. And they're very close in size, as you can see. There's not a whole lot. They're same exact diameter. It's just the 750 is a little bit taller, and it's much thicker titanium. So the advantage, of course, is it's more sturdy. It's not going to get distorted, warped. This one's, I can squeeze this with my hand. I can actually flex it. You can see it flexing. So this one, I can't. I could if I really pushed hard, but I don't want to do that and permanently distort it. So I'm going to start out with a 750 just for the convenience of being able to store the fuel canister, 4-ounce fuel canister, and my Pocket Rocket Deluxe in there with the lid on inside the bag. If I get to the point where I'm like, I gotta just shave, I gotta start shaving ounces and grams, I gotta drop weight, I get to those White Mountains of New Hampshire, boy, that might be bad news, and I might be like just trying to drop weight any way I can. If that comes to that, actually, I'm gonna swap out to my alcohol stove, which is something. Here, I talked about that on my stove episode. This is my little Vargo Triad titanium stove, 1 ounce for this guy, and then an alcohol fuel bottle. I have my fuel bottles, as I mentioned on the other episode. So I will swap out to that if I decide that I just got to cut every ounce, every gram that I possibly can. But that's pretty much it. I just want to show you. I'm taking the 750 toques with me, with a mind to swapping back out to the 650 if I want to cut that weight, and I'll just have to store this separately. I actually have a little stuff sack. I don't know where it went. A little tiny stuff sack for this guy, so I could keep him in his own little stuff sack if I wanted to. Stuff sack probably weighs like 3 grams. That's it. That's all I wanted to say, guys. So that's my plan. The Vargo, I'm probably going to sell this, honestly. The people at Vargo, I should say, they're very nice, very helpful. They did send me extra silicone gaskets. When I said, hey, I'm going to go on the AT, I want an extra gasket or two in case mine fail. They sent me extra gaskets, no charge. They also sent me extra flints for my little, and I'll have to do an episode about my sparker, my titanium sparker. No questions asked. They said, sure. Popped them in the mail to me, free. So can't say enough good things about the Vargo people, but I just think this was over-engineered. I think they overthought it. It doesn't need to be this complicated. If they re-engineered this, make this a little bit bigger, maybe make it a 750, and put the threads on the outside so you can make full use of that space in there, I think they'll have a winner. I would gladly switch to using this rather than a cook pot and a cold soak container. I would do everything in this if they would make that change. Make this a 750 and put the threads on the outside. I am down with that. I would be happy to be a customer again for my cook pot. That's all I want to talk about, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry if I rambled on too long, but hopefully you got some value out of it. You understand the difference between the different pots, the sizes, the thinness of the titanium, the lids, how these Toaks lids work, and why I decided against taking the Vargo bot on my through hike. All right, we'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hey, and if you would subscribe, it helps to let me know that people like what they're seeing. It helps me get more visibility, and I can have better videos hopefully in the future. I'll have time once I get back to actually do some editing and make these look a little more professional for you. All right, thanks guys. Talk to you later. Bye bye.